Well, hello everyone. Dr. Vince Leone here, and welcome to the show, Dr. Vince Presents, episode 4. And thank you so much for taking the time. And this is a super important training. This is more systems based, and we're going to cover who is answering your phone. And we're going to go over a tried and true approach to increasing your call to consult ratio while also increasing authority, trust, and rapport between the patient and your office. So first of all, why is the phone so important? Because a lot of doctors may not even put much credence to it. Haven't really thought about it. People call, we schedule them, and the problem is a lot of times we're not tracking our stats, right? And so as doctors, we're very busy. We're pulled in 10 different directions at least, and we may not know how many people called that day. And so we may have 30 people call and only, I don't know, maybe 15 people make appointments. Those stats absolutely need to be tracked. And, your CA, though she's wonderful, I'm sure, is not most likely going to tell you, oh man, I had 5 people call today and not one of them decided to come in, right? Because that makes her look bad, right? And, it's not that we want them to feel bad. We just want to train them up, and we want to keep those stats so that we can get the most, bang for our buck. So first, why? Well, first impressions. So when a patient either hears about us from a friend, sees an advertisement, clicking on an ad in Facebook, whatever it is, the ad is, to some degree the first impression, but really it's when they contact your office and they talk to someone on the phone, and it creates a first impression, and that can be a good first impression. That can be a bad first impression, and it can be a so-so first impression. So what we want is it to be a great first impression, okay? Because it's going to, it's kind of like greasing the slide, and we're going to make everything so much easier for the patient and the doctor as that kind of process goes along. The next, very big reason is if you're spending money on advertising, and it may be $1,000 on Facebook, or it may be $20,000 across all advertising platforms. We want to maximize the return on our investment. And again, if say we spent $10,000 and we got 20 calls off an ad, or in a week, say, your staff member only got 5 to come in. Well, that is not a very good ratio, and it's not a very good use of your advertising dollars. Because if she was super good and she got 75% of the people to come in, so 15, then, say you closed half of those, you have 7 patients versus 3. And if your average case value is, say, $5,000, just to make it easy, that's $35,000 in revenue versus $15,000 in revenue. And so in one case you paid $10,000 and then you got 15 in return, and the other case you paid $10,000 and got $35,000 in return. So I'm just throwing numbers out there, but the point being is we want to maximize our advertising dollars, right? Because can't get them back, and typically ads tend to fatigue over time, so we really want to take advantage of them, especially in the beginning when they're working well. And then finally, conversion. Now, conversion, a lot of when doctors talk about conversion, and this is mainly for bigger case fee, niche type cases. It's like, oh, I'm a master in the report of findings, right? Well, conversion starts on the phone, okay? Because if that patient has a wonderful first impression on the phone, then they're going to be coming in with a much different attitude versus having a terrible first impression on the phone. If your CA was rude, maybe she didn't have her coffee that morning, or her boyfriend broke up with her, or whatever it is, if there was a bad first impression, well, then they're going to carry that bad first impression all the way to see you. And so conversion starts on the phone, and it's helped along in the evaluation where we can present our expertise and start to educate the patient. And then finally, in the report of findings, if you do everything else right, then the report of findings should just be a matter of whether they have the funds or the ability to afford the care plan. And obviously, if they qualify as a patient and they need our care. But if they don't need our care, then they shouldn't be in the report of findings. So, just massively important. I mean, if you're once you figure out your leads, cost per lead and cost per new patient, and we covered that in a past webinar, but I'll do another episode on figuring out those kind of key stats and numbers. But say your cost per lead's $300, which look, I've seen leads that go up to $1,000, and you have to have a case fee that justifies that, warrants it. But if your lead is in that range, I mean, if your CA is doing a poor job on the phone, you can take that money and just flush it down the toilet. So very, very important. And it comes down to you. It comes down to you, the doctor, to either do the training or institute the training so that someone is training this staff member about how to be excellent on the phone. Okay, and you need a rock star, right? And that's another episode of how to you find a Rockstar CA. And I'm sure many of you have them. I'm sure many of you wish you had them. Actually, I go into that in great detail in my book that's coming out in fourth quarter of this year about how do you go about getting that Rockstar CA. But you have to have it, guys. If you don't have it, go find it. By hook or by crook, go get that Rockstar. If you've been thinking about firing your CA, do it now. It's fire fast, hire slow. I mean, that has got to be your motto. Fire fast, hire slow, because that person is literally, if they're like dead weight or toxic up front, they are killing your practice. They are repelling patients. I've heard so many stories of doctors that they've had a CA forever, or not even forever, maybe even a few months, and then once they finally get around to firing them, because none of us like to, let's be honest, none of us like to fire people, but you are the boss, right? So got to do it. But patients will come up to me and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you got rid of that. You can't imagine how she treated me. It's like, really? Yeah, because your patients usually aren't going to tell you. Sometimes they will. And if they do, you better listen to them, because they are the customer, and they're paying our bills. So got to get a rock star. Now, you also need a really great script, because you can't expect your CA to just because she's nice, like that she's going to be able to create authority, trust, and rapport, and kind of put you on a pedestal and start that whole process on her own. They're like, CAs are usually in their 20s. Maybe you'll get one in their 30s or 40s, but typically they're in their 20s, early 30s, and they don't have a ton of life experience. And like I said, I'm sure they're nice. I'm sure they can chat someone up, but you can't expect them to, day in and day out, track their stats and really be consistent if they're not working off a template, right? Because if you look at a great movie, you don't think like when you're watching the movie, you're like, if it's a good one, you're not thinking, oh man, they're reading off a script. No, you're thinking, wow, what a performance, right? Because they've ingrained the script. They're not reading off the script. They've internalized it. So that's what your CA needs to do with a really good script, is internalize it, make it her own, hit all the major spots, get the information that they need, make the appointment, and get out. So let's take a look at my script here. Now, this is, again, this particular one is for neuropathy. I also have one for disc, for decompression, but very, very specific about why we're asking these questions. And we'll just go through this quickly. We're not going to spend a lot of time. And don't think like, oh my gosh, this is going to take my CA, 10, 15 minutes to get through this. She's got to take copays and blah, blah, blah. look, first of all, it's not going to take 10 minutes. You can get through this in 5 minutes, no problem. But yeah, taking copays is great. Scheduling, all that type of stuff is great. If you're at the level where you're spending money, good money on advertising, you have to have someone that is really dedicated and can take the time to speak with someone without being interrupted mid call. Okay, super, super important. But even if she is the all-in-one at front desk, she's got to be able to juggle this and again get through this quickly and efficiently while still giving that awesome impression. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot to ask. Yeah, that's why you need a rock star. So we start right at the top. You're going to have one sheet of these for each patient, right? So she should have a binder and stack of blank scripts on the left so that she can fill these out for each new patient that calls. And then on the right will be her stat sheet. Okay, this person called, this is the date, this is the name, they set up or they didn't set up, why did they set up, why did they not set up if they didn't, etc. Or if they did, this is their date and time of the appointment. So ring, ring, ring. First of all, she's got to have a smile on her face. Okay, I'm sure you've heard this before. It's very, very true. I can't tell you what it sounds like to call someone that they answer the phone like their dog just died. It's just depressing. So got to have a smile on their face. Hi, look, whatever your clinic name is, this Dr. Leone, what is she? Dr. Leone's office. Hi, this is Cindy. How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling about the ad on peripheral neuropathy. Great, I can definitely help you with that. Again, my name is Cindy, and what is your name, please? And they're going to say, Mary Jones, right? Now, because these RCAs are typically younger, I like to have them refer to the patients by Mr. or Mrs. Now, if the patient corrects them and say, no, call me Mary, fine. But it's just respectful because most of these patients, that have neuropathy or these disc conditions or functional medicine, they're typically older, baby boomers, 50s, 60s, 70s. And your staff member is 20 years, they're younger. So there's nothing wrong with showing some respect and calling them Mrs. Jones. So I like that. And your name, please? Mary Jones. Great. Okay, Mrs. Jones, Dr. Smith specializes in treating peripheral neuropathy without drugs or surgery. So you definitely called the right place. Now, how long have you been suffering with this? Now, this next little section here is super important, right? Because this is going to make your consultation history much more efficient, right? Because you're going to be walking in with a lot of information, and patients love to spill information to the doctor, do they not? They do. About the last 20 years and this, that, and the other. Well, if you can go into your consultation and you already know how long it's been going on, and is it staying the same or getting worse, and the scale 1 to 10, blah, 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 then instead of them giving you the full diatribe, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, but this at least gives an option to slim it down. It's more of a yes or no, right? And again, wow, this doctor's walking in and they already know everything about me. That's awesome. They filled out paperwork. And, like if I go to a doctor or a dentist or whatever, and they start asking me the questions that I just filled out on the paperwork, it's like, yeah, that's why I filled that out for you, right? So we want to be efficient. We want it to be a very nice experience for the patient so they can get in, get the evaluation, and get on their way because they're all busy. Everyone's busy. Even if they're retired, they're busy. Who knows? I mean, I have patients that are retired that say they're more busy now than they were before they retired, when they worked. I can't imagine having a job now. I have so much to do. So how long have you been suffering with this? Is it staying the same or getting worse? On a scale 1 to 10, how severe is it? Is that with or without medications? What treatments have you tried so far? Have you had any imaging or testing done? And what is your age? Are you on disability or Medicare due to this condition? So one of the reasons why we want to ask these questions is to essentially kind of pre-qualify them. Now, this is even more important with disc situations because I have, again, on the other sheet, we go into just very briefly, is there been surgery? Is there, any basically reasons why they cannot go through the treatment protocol, right? And so we want to start We want to save them time. If we don't feel like they're even a candidate, say for decompression, we don't want to waste their time or ours for them coming in. So it's kind of a dual purpose. So here we go. Next in the highlight section. Okay, Mrs. Jones, the next step, since you're now pre-qualified, is for me to reserve an appointment time for you and Dr. Smith to meet. Dr. Smith does a detailed orthopedic and neurologic exam and evaluates any imaging you may have. And if you don't have any, he may perform some here in the office. He takes all this information and determines whether you would be a good candidate for a specific protocol to treat your peripheral neuropathy. After a detailed evaluation, the doctor is going to let you know right away if he's going to be able to accept you. He's very thorough and very kind. You're going to love him. He's a great doctor. Now, what are we doing here? We are starting to create authority, trust, and rapport, right? At the end there, the CA is pumping up the doctor, right? Now, we can all speak great about ourselves, and that's, kind of braggadocio. If we have other people talking nice about us, which is why we have testimonials and that type of thing, but if we have staff members talk about us nicely, maybe they will think, oh, a staff member's just saying that. But most likely they'll say, oh, well, that's nice that the staff member likes their boss, right? We're going to reserve an appointment time for you. He does a detailed orthopedic and neurologic exam. He's going to review all your imaging, and he may even take some if you don't have it. And he's going to essentially assess all this information. He's going to let you know whether you're a good candidate for our specific protocol. So again, we don't take everybody. We got to make sure that they are going to have a very good chance at responding. And that's why we put in the good candidate. And we're very efficient. Now, if you do a 2-day report of findings, which is totally fine, you can just change that. After a detailed evaluation, the doctor is going to set up a second appointment where he will let you know, after reviewing all his information, whether he feels like you're a good candidate or not. Now, in my opinion, if the spouse is there, then I don't see any reason. I mean, if you know whether they're a good candidate or not, then why not just move right into the report of findings? You have them there. Again, they're busy. They have other things. They may go on vacation. They may try something else. Why not? If you have all the information you need, you feel they're a good candidate, why not go into it? And if you have the time. So up to you, but that's how we do it. And it's very effective. So let's move on here. So let's get your appointment time scheduled. Now, and this is the this or that. Okay, we're not saying, so when would you like to come in? So let's go ahead and get your appointment time scheduled, Mrs. Jones. Now, is morning or afternoon better for you? Oh, I love morning appointments. Great. Is Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning better? Oh, Tuesday sounds great. Awesome. I have a 9:30 or an 11:30. Which is better for you? 11:30. Perfect. Done. In like 10 seconds, it's scheduled, right? That's the way to do it. You don't want to stumble and bumble. You want to lead the conversation, right? You have to lead the conversation. Patients are looking to doctors as the leader. We have to be the leader, right? We know how to fix them. So, we have to do that starting right at the very beginning on the phone, right? We're talking about conversion, first impression, all that type of stuff. And then your assistant's going to say, okay, great. I'm going to start a file for you right now, Mrs. Jones. Just need a little bit more information. And then you just get your address, email, and then the best phone number to reach you. You don't need the home phone number and the cell phone and the work number. It's just, what is the best number to reach you, Mrs. Jones? Okay. So let's move on. So this is the bottom half. So that's the top half of the script. And this is the bottom half. This is your confirmation policy. Now, Ms. Jones, the doctor's schedule is normally full and we do not double book him. So the doctor and the exam room will be reserved for you for 1 hour. And just pause for about a second and let that sink in. We are reserving a room along with the doctor, maybe even an assistant, for you for 1 hour. We want them to make their appointment. So, Mrs. Jones, you're going to be seeing Dr. Smith Tuesday at 9:30, and all your paperwork needs to be done before that time. So I suggest coming in, 15, 30 minutes early so we can keep him on schedule as well as yourself. Now, please bring all the following: your MRI or x-rays, your health insurance card, your medication list, and are you familiar with how to get to our office, right? Sometimes yes, no, maybe so. And you can, if it's a smaller town, use a landmark. If it's A bigger town, you can take their address and do a Google Maps and email them very specific directions to your office, right? They will very much appreciate that. And then here we're moving on. And will your spouse be joining us? Okay. The doctor recommends this so that they fully understand what is going on with you, as well as hearing directly from the doctor what his recommendations are, if any. Don't expect them to be able to turn around and tell their spouse everything that you explained about peripheral neuropathy or decompression for discs. It just doesn't work. I mean, I was at lunch the other day and I heard this kid talking to his mom about what a chiropractor was doing. And if I heard that, I would be appalled. Okay. He was talking about pulling on a leg and this, that, and the other. And I almost threw up my lunch. And no, I did not interrupt them and try to correct him. I don't have time for that. But point being, if there is a spouse involved, just assume they're going to have to run the financial decision by the spouse, right? We need the spouse there. So try to get the spouse at the very first appointment, right? And so, anyway, so that's what that is there for. And it helps conversion. And I think we all feel pretty comfortable with that. And then finally, hey, it's really nice speaking with you today, Mrs. Jones. And I look forward to seeing you at your appointment on Tuesday at 9:30. And you're repeating that for a reason. There's, it's been shown. If you repeat it, this is the third time they've heard their appointment, right? Third time. Your appointment's on Tuesday at 9:30, Mrs. Jones. Again, my name is Cindy, and I'm going to be helping you when you arrive. And, and then just say goodbye. So nothing crazy here, but very, very important points that you need to hit. You need to be comfortable. This has to flow. It can't sound like she's reading off a script. That's not going to be great. But that's why you train. So you either have you either train with a staff member. If you have an office manager, then the office manager needs to role play with this. Someone needs to train with the CA with this script. She can't just read it, several times and have the skills to, effectively sign up patients. Okay, so that's this training on the phone. Now, if you are in one of these niches, whether it's decompression or functional medicine or stem cell or neuropathy, and you'd like to look into scaling up your advertising, and what this means is typically beyond Facebook. Now, I absolutely handle Facebook, but I really specialize in kind of taking docs to the next level with TV, radio, and or print. And so I offer a very cool little offer here. Free custom advertising blueprint. So you just go to www.nichemasteryvip.com and you'll see information about how to get signed up for that. If you're not in one of those niches, but you're just looking to increase revenue in your practice, I have a free report on that. Just go to www.leoneconsulting.co, not .com, .co. And you will see a place to sign up for a free report on 3 strategies of how to increase revenue in your practice. Okay, guys. Hey, I'm Dr. Vince Leone, and this was episode 4 of Dr. Vince Presents. I want to thank you so much for joining me. We were talking about the phone today, how important it is. So take this stuff, implement it. And hey, if you want this script, if you'd like an example of this script, no problem. Just shoot me an email at drvince@drvinceleone.com, and I'll shoot that right back. Okay. Hey, thanks again for taking the time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.